Misha. Today, I want to talk to you guys about how insulin resistance is linking into kidneys and liver because that keeps getting brought up a lot. I want to share some really amazing news that I got yesterday in regards to insulin resistance. I want to talk about fasting, fiber, protein, fats. I want to help you guys understand insulin resistance so you can understand how it's negatively impacting your life and that 93% of us have some metabolic issue, which means insulin resistance. So let's dive in and start. I want to start with today about the kidneys and the liver, and then I'll go back and talk about how insulin resistance happens, why it happens, so you guys can understand all this. So, stage 3 kidney disease. People who have had to have dialysis. It makes me sad because many of them never should have had to have dialysis if we would have understood that insulin resistance causes a great amount of kidney failure and kidney problems. So, when we have insulin resistance, it does a couple of things. It cues your body to store more calcium. That calcium buildup in your kidneys becomes kidney stones. And that can be very painful, but it also affects kidney function, leading to things like stage 3 kidney disease. I have a guy, I did his video last week, Coach Greg Hoyd, and he had stage 3 kidney disease, started the system, and now has normal kidney function because he's reversed insulin resistance. It's important. When you're insulin resistant, there's so many things going on in your body that it's changing everything about how your body reacts to anything that we do. You have a hormone called the parathyroid hormone, and it cues calcium storage and calcium use in your body. But when insulin resistance or too much insulin is going on in your body, you also end up having too much parathyroid hormone. Interesting thing, like with so many other hormones I've talked about, too much parathyroid hormone can cause insulin resistance too. Either way, that increase in parathyroid hormone cues your body to hold on to more calcium, but it's also cueing your body to reabsorb calcium from your bones. So now not only do you have kidney problems, your bones are starting to get brittle because we're pulling calcium from it and it's causing kidney stones. So two things are happening there that are all linked into insulin resistance. And if you could get that insulin level down, it's likely that you could get the parathyroid level down. It's likely that you could get your calcium levels normalized and release the load on your kidneys, solving that whole problem. And that's what many, many people have found is happening for them when they learn about insulin resistance and start taking care of it. Then we talk about the liver. Now, the liver has so many functions. It does some fat storage. It clears the blood of toxins. It gets rid of old cells out of the body. It stores extra glucose as glycogen. So it has so many processes that the liver has to do. And when we have insulin resistance, we're overloading our poor livers and it starts to fail. I did a video last night. I forgot to post it, so it went up about midnight. But I did a video on fructose and how it's causing even more load on your liver. And this is why I don't like fruit juices. And we'll talk about that in a little bit because we're already overloading our liver. And those fruit juices just are creating more of that. But now, this liver that normally takes our glucose molecule and breaks it down a little bit smaller into glycogen and stores it for emergency is thinking that we need more energy because we talked about we talk about reactive hypoglycemia. So you eat a lot of sugar, insulin delivers the sugar, your sugar levels drop, and you have hypoglycemia. At this point, when your blood sugars drop and are low, the liver is pouring more sugar back into the system even when you're not eating. So now your blood sugar is going up again, and now you're having constantly high sugar levels in your blood. But the liver also stores some fat. Sorry, but in the presence of insulin resistance, it's storing way too much fat. Now the liver is slowing down. It's having a harder time. It's affecting your gallbladder and it's affecting your entire health because it can't filter like it's supposed to. So now toxins aren't getting out of the blood like they're supposed to. You're not being able to turn over old cells like you're supposed to. You're storing more fat and you're increasing the level of sugars in your bloodstream. And it all started with insulin resistance. This today is just kidney and livers, right? The kidneys and liver. And we wonder why. I talk about insulin resistance all the time. I'm not a specialist on any one of those things. All I know, because I'm just a woman who got sick, like many of you are, and got better and figured out that insulin resistance was at the bottom of it. Um, so let's talk about what insulin resistance really is so you can understand why I'm talking about all of this. Insulin resistance is when our body is converting energy from the food we eat and it creates sugar in our bloodstream. Insulin is a hormone that's created in our body when we have sugar present. Insulin's job is to deliver that energy to every cell of our body. So the cells should be like, yay, insulin, come on, bring me that good stuff, that energy. But instead, when there's too much insulin all the time, the cells get really tired of opening their door or opening their door. They're like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. And they kind of lock their doors. Now, insulin comes knocking and it can't get in because those doors are locked. Now we start to have high levels of insulin and sugar in our bloodstream, which is, and this point when it's starting to, cells are locking their doors to insulin, is insulin resistance. So when the cells aren't taking up insulin, we have all of these things go on in our body, like this increase of parathyroid hormone, increase of fat storage in our bodies. So we can talk about how we store fat, and one of my favorite things to talk about is how we go from insulin resistance with no high A1C, high blood sugars, or high lipid levels to all of a sudden you're diabetic and you have all of those things on. And if you guys want to know what that scale tipping is, where that happens, let me know. Just put a 1 in and I'll explain that. But in the meantime, let's talk about those kidneys and liver. So if you are suffering with any of that kidney liver stuff, ask questions, know that it can get better. Oof, my mind is going between it can get better and me should know it can't. So there's two sides to this story, and it's so frustrating. Once you get to dialysis and you've had to have those surgeries, this can't help revive your kidneys. Okay, getting insulin resistance under control prior to that can help your kidneys heal up and reverse the damage. But again, once you get to dialysis, we're past that point. However, if insulin has caused that much problem in your system that you're that sick, and you know that insulin resistance is causing other problems in your body, whether you're on dialysis or whether you're just reversing your stage 3 kidney disease or kidney disease at any level, you need to understand that reversing your insulin is probably the healthiest thing that you can do for your body overall. All of these things on the list up here, by the way, are linked to insulin resistance. So if you look up there and you see yourself in any of those things, understand that any one of those could mean you have insulin resistance. 2, 3 of those, you're probably insulin resistant. If you have 4 of those or more, get your insulin resistance under control and take your health back. So you see, fasting, fiber, protein, and fats. I'm going to get to it a little bit quicker this morning. Everybody asked, how do we take care of the insulin? You need to understand that whole thing of how our body is converting energy first, right? We're converting too much energy. Our cells lock their doors. We're insulin resistant. Now, in order to have the cells unlock their doors, we need to slow down how much insulin is knocking on their door all the time. That means we have to get our sugar levels under control so that insulin doesn't feel like it has to transport it all the time. Some people will say, cut out all sugars. You know what? Does that work? Absolutely, it works. How many of you guys feel like you could live a life where you cut out all sugars and you lived like that the rest of your life? Many of us would say, yeah, I could do it for my health. But a week or two in, you're like, oh, I want that ice cream. I want that birthday cake or wedding cake. I want whatever. And then you have broken that and then you feel bad and you just go right back. So you guys, I want to talk about sustainable, middle of the road, like real science help you get over insulin resistance. If you want to do those things that are far left, far right, eat all vegetables, eat all red meats, do whatever, please do it for you. But don't expect everyone else to live like that. I want to address what happens for the normal person in this society, in this environment that we have, to help you understand insulin and how you can get over it without being this nun or priest on one side or whatever. You guys, it doesn't have to be that way. Can it happen that way? Yes. So what we need to do is slow down the conversion of sugars into our bloodstream. That's the number one thing we do. So we need to understand that our food is converting to sugars too quickly because our food is devoid of things like fiber and nutrients that are helping our body. Why are they devoid of that? Why? Because we have stripped our foods of those things in order to make them more delectable, desirable, and palatable for us. So when we look at that, I'm not talking about just bagged foods, boxed foods, the foods in the middle of the grocery store. I'm talking about how genetically modified even our fruits and vegetables have been. So we have this environment in our food that's creating disease in our bodies, and it's affecting 93% of us. That's huge. Are we likely to be able to go into the grocery store tomorrow and find that everything in there has been reversed? Okay, that everything in there is now changed back to what it was 100 years ago, so that it's giving our bodies the nutrients they need. That we've overcome all this fat is bad for you. Let's use machine created oils. There should have never been oils as cooking oils because they have a high flash point. Let's all of that's gone from our grocery store, right? It's not likely to happen. Can we do better and make better choices? Yes. But at the core of it, we need to understand that even when we make better choices, our food is imperfect and we must address it. We have to address that. So the biggest thing that's missing from our food, and doctors are now talking about it across the board. Dr. Lee, who wrote Food as Medicine, Dr. Yao addresses it, Dr. Fung addresses it, Dr. Bickman addresses it. So many other doctors are starting to talk about how fiber is key in our food, and yet it's been stripped from our food. That absence of fiber is allowing our foods to convert to sugar too quickly. Fiber slows down the conversion of sugar in our food. So it slows it down in the intestinal tract. You guys need to think that our digestive system starts at the mouth. When we take our bite and we start chewing, we create enzymes that are there to break down those foods, break them down into sugar or energy so that our body can utilize it. And as it goes through the system, there are so many processes that are happening to break that food down and then allow it to be absorbable by our system, to allow it to get into the blood, and then to allow the blood to deliver it through hormones like insulin. Insulin is the hormone, to the cells of the body. So it's this big, long, complicated process. And fiber needs to be in there. We look at nature and we look at the foods that we used to have. Anytime there was a carbohydrate, there was fiber attached to it, with the exception of honey. There was bees attached to those, right? So fiber was always there with our carbohydrates to slow them down so our body could utilize the energy more in a time released fashion. What we've done is taken that energy that should be lasting us for hours and condensing it so it's an immediate shot of energy into the bloodstream, and then it's gone. And then we're hungry because we need more energy, and then we're overeating. So all of that's happening. And then the fact that you're being told to eat every 2 hours is continually spiking your insulin, making the problem worse. Eating every 2 hours does not fix your metabolism. It destroys it in the long term. So now we're getting to the cues, okay? I had to explain all of that because I want you to understand what I'm going to talk about: fasting, fiber, protein, and fats. I have an ebook called The 6 Simple Steps. You can download it at my link up here in TikTok, on Facebook and YouTube. I'll drop the link in for you guys. It's going to go over the 6 simple steps, but right now I want to focus on 4 of them: fasting, fiber, protein, fats. Fasting, fiber, protein, fats. Fasting, fiber, protein, fats. That's what you guys need to remember, okay? Intermittent fasting is important to your body. I'm going to go over the fasting timeline in a minute and explain why fasting is important. If you're eating before, I hear this lately, and people are losing weight. I get it. They will gain the weight back. It happened to me. Two, I listened to what she said. I lost some weight earlier in life, and then doing the same thing that she was doing for a long term, I started gaining weight and couldn't get it off. And I was mad. And I kept like doing all the eat every 2 hours, eat, before you're hungry so you don't overeat, all that nonsense. Your body needs to feel hunger. Okay. If you're never feeling hunger and your body's never allowing itself to switch into the fat burning mode, you're just gaining fat, gaining fat, gaining fat. You're training your body to live off of insulin, and now it doesn't know how to burn fat. When you train your body to create energy from the food you eat and never use the energy stored, your body forgets how to do that. Exogenous hormones, all of that. You guys are training your body to not have to produce hormones, all of those things. All of that's dangerous. All right, so fasting is important because it tells your body to when to slow down using energy as the food we take in to using the energy from the fat and the cells that need to go. So yeah, toxins and those excess cells that we have, the body can convert that and use it as energy on the way out. Get rid of it. Let's clean it up. Let's clean up our house. Our body may do that. They're not made to be fed constantly all the time and live off of this glucose all the time. So we've created this negative system. Fasting is important to get your body trained to allowing the insulin levels to come down and allowing you to burn fat. One truth before I go on, because I'll come back to the fasting timeline in a minute, but I want to get through this. One truth is this: when insulin is present in your system, you cannot burn fat and you cannot break down fat, but you will be storing fat. Whether it's in the subcutaneous fat or whether it's in the visceral fat, you're storing fat when you have high levels of insulin. And that means the more you eat, the more insulin you have. So stop it. Slow down. We don't need to eat all the time. There's never a point in history before now that we had the abundance of food and the abundance of eating that we have and stayed healthy from it. We're not healthy now. And this is the reason. So fasting for me is a 16-8 fast. I had dinner about 7 o'clock with my family last night. So I'm now almost 14 hours into a fast. I'm having a tea that helps support my fast, helps me break down fat for fuel, gives me mental clarity and energy. I am not hungry at all. I didn't wake up and start stuffing more carbohydrates into my face, rising my insulin levels again. We got to get over it, you guys. We don't need to eat so often. Give it a rest. Let your digestive system do its job. Let it reset. Let it regenerate. You can't do that. You're constantly inundating it with food. So fasting is hugely important. I will keep my eating to an 8-hour window. I probably won't eat until 11 or 12 today. And then I'm trying to get back to where I'm eating my last meal about 6. There's some efficacy to having your stomach empty before you go to bed as well so that you can rest well. Understand that too. So fasting is important. Then we have fiber, fat, or protein and fats. Okay. FFPF. Okay. Fasting, fiber, protein, fats. Fasting fiber has to come in first before we eat because it's slowing down the conversion of the glucose in our system so that we're keeping our blood sugar levels steady. The interesting thing that most people don't understand is protein doesn't just give us building blocks for our body, it gives us fuel for our body. So protein converts to glucose about half as much as carbohydrates, but it still is converting a portion of what you're eating into glucose. So even when you eat protein, you're spiking your glucose levels. We want to keep that low and slow. Fiber first. Protein should be the next thing on your plate. Why protein? Because what I just said, it's converting less into glucose in your system, causing the insulin spike, but it's giving you building blocks and it's keeping you more satiated or that feeling of fullness. Nothing fills you up like proteins. There's just nothing that gives you that satiated feeling as proteins. So that should be the first thing on your plate. Less glucose spike, less insulin spike, more satiety, great building blocks. There's some cues with protein I'll cut you too, because too little, you're not getting enough of the building blocks. You're just getting the glucose. Too much, you're storing fat, and you're increasing your glucose levels and increasing some inflammatory markers. So you need to be at that not too little, not too much, just right portion for you, okay? So fiber, fasting, fiber, protein, and then we're going to talk about fats. Fats, why fats? Because fats don't spike your insulin very, very minimally, so they consider it not insulin spiking, which means that you're getting nutrients into your system that you need. Your brain needs it, your muscles need it, your joints need it. Fats come next because it's high, and it's highly dense in calories. So if you're just doing calorie counting, you're going to miss this whole piece, okay? Because fats are important, but they're dense in calories. Does that mean that those calories are converting to fat in your system? No, it's not. It doesn't mean that at all. Those calories are energy, right? But it's not your glucose energy, which is kind of amazing. So now we're not spiking our glucose, we're not spiking our insulin, but we have these calories, which is energy, great energy for your body. So fiber, slow down the sugars, protein, convert less of the calories into sugar, fats, calories that are not changing into sugar, but are giving you good energy. Okay, so that's why. Now the fats you should be focusing on are, I'm leaning in because I get so excited about fiber, fats, and protein, and fasting. So the fats you should be getting in are extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, butter, ghee, and your animal fats. They're saturated fats, Misha. Yeah, I know that. But they're especially like coconut oil is dense in nutrients and really good for you. I have overcome so many health issues that it's insane in the last 2 years of doing this, just simply fasting, fiber, protein, and fats. When I do eat my first meal today, and if you guys want to know like what I eat, the progression of the timing of all of that, just type in a 1, we'll go over that. But this is how you're going to start to overcome insulin resistance. So for me, 2 years of doing this, as well as the protocol that I use, which gives me the fiber, because I don't want to have to figure out all the fibers and store them in my fridge and throw half it away because I can't get through it all or whatever. I supplement my fiber because it's the right kinds of fiber for what we're trying to do, and it works. So I had some hormone tests done a couple of weeks ago. I did the saliva test, you guys. I think it's important that you understand when you're doing hormone tests, blood work. So there's about 3 kinds of hormone tests. I used to work in a hormone clinic, by the way, that we can do. And my doctor and I, we did all 3 tests on me specifically. So we had one person that had all 3 tests. The difference was in the results. The blood work was the least accurate. There's a couple of reasons. When you do blood work, you're taking one point in the day, and yes, they're trying to go into a lab and say, okay, well, this is happening and that's happening, and so we're going to adjust for that. Hopefully, they're doing that. But also, when we spin off the blood to send in the serum, the yellow part of your blood, that's actually what gets tested. A majority of your hormones stay in the platelet that gets thrown away. And they're testing the serum, which has a very low amount of hormones. You're testing at one point in the day. Your hormones are not only fluctuating throughout the day, they're fluctuating for women and men both, but mostly in women throughout the month. Okay, so blood work is the least accurate. Then there's saliva, and then there's 24-hour urine. So if you do saliva testing 4 points during the day, you're getting more accurate. If you can have a 24-hour urine test, where you're capturing a whole day, and they actually take into consideration the day of the cycle that you're on. For ladies, they will better adjust for where you're at, and is your progesterone, your estrogen, your DHEA, all of that at a normal level for where you're at in your cycle. That's all important. Complicated, right? This is part of why we're not getting caught with these things, because most doctors and most insurances are just not taking care of real hormone testing. One thing they're not testing for in our hormone panels, and they absolutely should be, is insulin resistance. So I'm going to tell you some ways that you can test with your current labs, see if you're insulin resistant. And then I'm also going to tell you some ways just in health clues that you can tell that you're insulin resistant. Okay. But the good news for me was I had hypothyroidism, I had Hashimoto's, I had PCOS, I had all this stuff. I did 4 point in the day saliva test. The results just came back, and as postmenopausal, my progesterone and estrogen are a little high. I started doing some hormone therapy. So I'm going to stop this, and then I'll redo my test in about a month or two, because it seems that my body is, for the most part, producing enough hormones now because of control of my insulin resistance when they were off before. My cortisol level were all out of whack before. I had doctors multiple times tell me they didn't know how I was even upright. The only point in the day that my cortisol levels are high is at the end of the day. I have ADHD. There's probably something like that. The rest of the day, my cortisol levels are all midline. Fantastic news. How does that happen? All I did was address my insulin resistance. My thyroid hormones are in normal range now, which is probably why I don't have thyroid symptoms anymore, right? Did I take thyroid on any medications? No. So why are all these hormones in level now? Because I got insulin resistance under control. So looking at that panel last night at almost 60 years old was freaking amazing to see that all my hormones are finally lined up. When I was younger and working in a hormone clinic, we did all kinds of things to try and get my hormone panel normalized, and we couldn't do it. The doctor at that clinic actually called me in and said, look, your metabolism type, your metabolic type is the worst that I could have had come in here, and I don't know that there's anything I can ever do for you. You're just always going to be suffering and having all these problems. There's not much I can do to help you. And we tried everything. So now I'm not, and I love that doctor. She's super knowledgeable and a great doctor, but they're not taught about insulin in school. They're not addressing it with you because they weren't taught about it. They're focusing on what they were taught about. Some doctors are going out getting new knowledge and they're learning more, and they're focusing on this, hey, insulin is causing most all of our problems that are lifestyle related. Let's start addressing that, and let's actually get people feeling better. That's why we talk about insulin resistance. But getting my insulin under control balanced all my hormones. I've been talking about this for 2 years, how insulin affects your hormones, and now my lab work and my lifestyle is living proof of that happening. So does it take taking excess testosterone for guys? I had a guy yesterday say, well, I took excess testosterone and that worked for me. Well, yes, that works, but let's look at it. So if insulin resistance is reducing your testosterone level and you're taking exogenous testosterone, two things are happening. You're still not addressing the root of why your testosterone level got low in the first place. Now you're adding testosterone in. Your body's not creating testosterone, so your body says, oh, I don't need to do it anymore. So even if you stop the testosterone, you've trained your body to think that testosterone is something that should be fed to it and not that it needs to create. Dangerous territory to be in. So unless there's some other problem going on, you guys, I would encourage you to look at getting your insulin resistance under control before you start adding in hormones that your body could probably be producing if your insulin is under control. That's really, really important, okay? So we talked about fasting, fiber, protein, and fats. Now, I'm going to share with you guys what I did to get all of these great results and do all of this stuff. And then I will explain the system if you guys want. You guys see me drinking this tea this morning. This tea actually is a fat burning tea. I will be doing a video. I'm working on it. It's just, I love Dr. Huberman, but sometimes he's like me and he goes off on tangents. So I have to condense the information that you guys need out of a longer video from Dr. Huberman where he talks about yerba mate tea. I can't tell you to stop taking anything. You need to work with your doctor on that. What I'm going to tell you is this doesn't affect any of your medications. So you could do what I did. You could start doing this to see what can happen for you. And as your body starts healing, work with your doctor on coming off of what is appropriate for you. I don't know anybody in here. I don't know your medical history. I don't know what your genetics. I don't know any of that. So I can't tell you to start or stop anything except for give your body what it needs. So, sorry. This tea. This is a highly concentrated form, about 375 times more potent, of the same tea that Dr. Huberman's talking about in the video I'll get up later today. That tea, yerba mate, can help slow down your hunger. It helps you shut down hunger through two pathways in your body, through both your brain and your gut. Yerba mate, and I'll let Dr. Huberman explain it, the yerba mate shuts down hunger cues from both your brain and your gut. So you're not hungry now. This does not spike your insulin. It does not break a fast. But it's also giving, it also has this thing called chlorogenic acids that can access the brain by crossing the blood-brain barrier and getting you nutrients and energy to your brain. When your brain is functioning more properly, it has less, I'm saying it wrong. What am I saying wrong? Shanna, type it in. It's, you know what, you guys, some people will say yerba mate, but I've listened to many scientists talk about it and they say yerba mate. So that's how I'm going to say it. If that's what you're talking about that I'm saying wrong. So yerba mate is this amazing, high in nutrients, high in chlorogenic acids, helps you shun your hunger, helps you use produce ketones, which are the messengers telling you to burn fat for fuel. Okay, not sure what that was. I don't know. I don't know what you were talking about either. So if you think about it, let me know. I always want to pronounce things right, but everybody needs to understand with some of the medical terms, there are two different ways to say things, and take your pick, right? So if I'm actually pronouncing something wrong, I will adjust. I'm happy to learn. Now, yerba mate shuts down hunger, two different pathways in the body. It helps you burn fat for fuel by allowing you to kick up ketones in the body. It doesn't spike your insulin. I also have a clip that I'm going to be trying to get into a video where I was talking to Dr. Bickman, the brilliant man who is touted as being one of the top metabolic scientists in the world. Top metabolic scientist in the world. They call him the metabolic doctor, the metabolic scientist. He knew about metabolism than almost anybody on the planet. I got to talk to him. I asked him some questions. I will get that video up later, and it has to do with some of this stuff that I'm doing. So not spiking your insulin helps your ketones go up, helps you to get into a fat burning state, helps you to get into a healing state. You need energy in your body, but when we have too much energy, we start to create sickness or illness. So we need to reverse that and allow our body to do the other half of its job. So the tea supports that. This helps fat burning, and I'm going to be honest. I didn't understand how much it helped with fat burning and satiety till I started listening to like Bickman and especially Huberman more. Huberman loves this tea, yerba mate. I don't know that he uses our tea, but listening to him speak about it, I now drink probably 2 to 3 of these a day because it's food. It's giving my body health. It does cost me about $2 for a packet of it, but that's less than a soda. That's less than a number of things out there that I could drink other than water. This and water are primarily what I drink because it gives me energy, helps me burn fat for fuel, shuts down those hunger cues that are off in my body, and allows me to just have a better life. So burning fat, that happens. Now, the second part of what I do. So I do that, I do some fasting, and then I have this before I eat. So what's this? This is a pre-meal drink that has 7 different fibers, soluble and insoluble fibers. So what this one does: energy, clarity, shuts down hunger, burns fat. This one slows down the conversion of sugars and fats in my system. So it reduces the glycemic scale of foods in my system from a food that would be considered high glycemic. This helps turn that food into something that would be considered medium glycemic, slowing down the sugar delivery into my system. Why this? Why don't I just eat normal foods? Because I don't want to have to remember, you guys, I have so much, $1,800 a year. I don't know if that's, it could be. It's about $5 a day, $150 a month. Yes. When you look at it that way, let's talk about my life. I was on 10 different medications, about $10 a pop for the copay. That's $100 a month for medications that causing more problems, causing more need for medication, that were not creating health in my system. So I could invest $100 a month or $12,000 a year in medications that are masking numbers and not creating health. Plus, then, now I was going to the doctor. Before I started the system, I was at the doctor's office twice a month, every month. I was losing feeling in my right arm. I was having neuropathy in my right arm. Guess what, guys? That's a cue that my heart was about to give out. So, is $150 a month, $5 a day, worth me having now a healthy heart instead of a heart that was about to give out, could cause me some paralysis, could take my life? I don't know. Shift your thinking. No, I did not advise anyone to get off of meds. You missed that part, didn't you? You are picking and choosing what you want to hear, and um, that's not cool. So everybody's heard me say work with your doctor on meds. Okay, so I got off of 10 different meds. I saved myself that. I saved myself the doctor's trips. I'm eating 2 meals a day. I'm not buying all the snacky snack foods and the sodas and stuff that I was. So my food budget has actually gone down more than what my budget increased by adding the system in. But I have better health. I don't have a cane. I don't have a walker. I don't have to use disability plates. I can walk up and down stairs. I can get up and down off the floor. I can go for long walks in the woods like I love to do. I can do all of that I couldn't do 2 years ago. Is that worth $5 a day? My hormones being balanced and not buying all the excess hormone stuff now. Is that worth $5 a day? My liver healing up and not having cirrhosis or liver problems. Is that worth $5 a day? Yeah, it is to me. It is. So let's go with that. So you guys, if you want the system, go to my profile right up here, tap in Facebook, or I'm sorry, in TikTok, tap on my picture up here. A white box is going to come up. I'm going to show everybody that link in just a second. Let me get it in for Facebook and YouTube people. And we're going to take a look at the system. I want you to understand this though, please. When you do the system, I want you to use, whether it's me or somebody else, I want you to use somebody who's an authorized distributor so that you're getting it directly from the company. We have 3 guarantees: a 90-day money back guarantee. We have the satisfaction guarantee. We have a quality guarantee, and we have a low price guarantee. When you go to places like Amazon, Walmart, eBay, you're not getting any of those guarantees because you didn't buy it directly from the company. You're not getting the coaching, and you're likely, because you don't have that low price guarantee, you're not getting my discount. You're paying about $100 more, I just said, a month for the product. They will make it sound like you're paying less for it, but you're actually getting less product. Every person that I've talked to that has bought it off of Amazon or eBay says they got ripped off and they're not getting the guarantees or the coaching or any of it. So buy through my link. I'm going to show you that. Said I had a bunch of comments. Okay. So we're going to take a look at what that, I put the link that I'm going to show everybody here in Facebook already. So let's take a look at really quickly, and then I kind of want to get into whatever you guys want to talk about. I can talk more about the products and why they're working. I can talk about more of the things that insulin resistance leads to. What is it you guys want to hear after I show you where to get this amazing system? And understand that I wouldn't be here doing this. I have conversations all day yesterday from people who, look, can I share this with you as I'm getting myself ready over here? I have so many conversations a day, and in specific, I was speaking to a woman yesterday who has told me that she loves me, not as like an ew weird, but because I've done so much to help her life, because her life has turned around just as much as mine has, because she found a system, and after trying all the other medical things like I did, she finally got better utilizing the system and understanding insulin resistance. I am on those calls every day where people who are open and understanding to their health are understanding that this actually does work. So after you click on my profile picture up above, you're going to see this page for those on TikTok. Right here under the red lights, click on this link. When you click on that link, it's going to take you to my landing page. If my computer will keep up with me today, let's just click on the link. All right, you're going to see that message. It's safe. So this is what you're going to see. This is my landing page. And I do want to talk about the Unimate combo pack here, but we're going to talk about the system. The system is right here, the top one. Click on that. You're going to see that you're going to be sent to the company's website. So I never handle your product. It gets shipped directly from the company. All the guarantees happen. But you need to make sure my name is up here if you want to get all the guarantees and the coaching, where I do call you and I have these conversations, and I do. I know a lot of people are not doing that, and people say, well, my coach doesn't call me. I've never heard from them. I'm sorry. I can't help that. I help my people. So click on the buy now. Then you're going to see this. 30 of the tea for 1 in the morning, 60 of the balance for 1 before eat your 2 biggest meals, and that's it. The tea you can have. Some people get that mixed up. It just mixes in water. It's a choice of different flavors. If anybody has about the flavors, let me know. I'll address that. You guys, put it on subscription. You can cancel that at any time, but you're saving yourself $5 a day. You're saving yourself shipping, which is, or $5 a month. You're saving yourself shipping, which is about another $10. So right there, you're saving $15. You can cancel it at any time, and they give you this gift of this free cool little hand mixer the first part. Okay, so do that. Plus, you're getting an email that goes, so like, how many of you guys have put something on subscription and then like all of a sudden this amount of money comes out of your account and you're like, dude, I didn't even know it was time for that to happen. What a bad time for that to come out of my account. Has that ever happened to anybody? Well, Unicity gives you an email 5 days before they charge your card, before they ship anything out, to say, good news, your subscription is about to ship. Do you want to change the flavor? Change your flavor at that point. Do you need to change the date that it goes out? Change the date that it goes out. Do you want to add something to it, subtract something from it? You do all of that. They give you fair warning. There's no risk with that. And if you're you call me up and they're like, hey, Misha, I can go look and see when it's supposed to happen. I can help you out with that. And I do that every single day. So don't do the worry part. Do the take care of your health part. Save yourself some money. Okay, and we're off to the races. So you guys want to know more about the product? You want to know about insulin resistance? What do you guys need to hear this morning that's going to help you in your life? Let me get that graphic back up so you can see what we're talking about. But you guys, look at it. I always try to be super, super honest with everybody. I'm not going to sell you a bunch of hooey that I don't know. You've heard me, if you've been here before, heard me say I'm not going to address that right now because I can't give you an intelligent answer. Go get the answer and come back. That's how I. Okay. So, this fall, I was having issues, and I thought, well, 59, let's try hormone replacement, because maybe, and I did the mistake of not testing my hormones beforehand. What I found was my hunger increased. I was having some other issues going on, and so I went and tested my hormones. I started adding this in. Now my progesterone and estrogen are too high, so I'm stopping that. But all the rest of my hormones are balanced. Crazy, 59, a minimal amount of hormone therapy. My hormones are too high because the body probably didn't need them because my insulin was balanced. And so good, I'm the guinea pig, right? Let me make the mistake so you guys don't have to. But my thyroid hormones, all of my cortisol is outside of that one point in the day. It's because I stress a lot. All of that's in normal. My blood sugars, my triglycerides, blood pressure are all normal. And all I did was that simple protocol: tea in the morning and a pre-meal drink. And I actually do it before I eat anything. Okay. So this is what I want you guys to think about with the system: energy, fat burning, okay, glucose control. Energy, fat burning, glucose control. So what we found is, although the system is like this, some people are doing OMAD. So now they're only using one balance, but they want to have 2 Unimate in a day. So now what we've done is we've created a way for that to happen for all of you guys. So the company is just amazing. They listen to people, and I love that about them. So if you go to right now, you're going to see this Unimate 2-pack. For all the people who are drinking more Unimate than they're drinking balance, this is for you. So what I would do is do the system 1 month and then do the 2-pack next month. And guess what? You can swap those out on your subscription, still save yourself all the money. So I'm going to tap on my screen for you guys, I'm so out of control. So this is what it looks like. The Unimate 2-pack saves you money on the Unimate, but you're getting it so that you can have enough for 2 a day, right? But you can get it in 2 packs of lemon, 2 lemon ginger, a lemon, a pack of the black. Any way you want it, you can click on it. But when you use this link again, you're going right to the company website to fulfill that order, okay? But if you're interested in, and some people just want the Unimate, I get that. You just Unimate because you just want the energy and you feel like you eat well enough that you're not having to have the glucose regulation. Whichever way you want to do it, just get better, okay? So let me get that and then answer some questions. If there are any questions, you guys, I'm going to just be honest, I've been sucking at getting my content out because I'm so busy trying to get other things done. And I really am making a commitment to myself and to you all to get content done today, because this week I'm talking about the liver, kidneys, your gastrointestinal issues. So 63%, so let's back up. Let's get the numbers in order. 93% of us have a metabolic issue, okay? 93%. That links to insulin resistance. Out of that 93% of us, 63% have some type of gastrointestinal issue. All of that links back to this. So about 60% of us are having a gastrointestinal issue. Kidneys, liver, colon, stomach problems, acid reflux, IBS, Crohn's, all of that. All of it links in, and it all links into insulin resistance. So take care of the insulin resistance and you can see things start to normalize. You guys, I can't tell you, I'm so geeked out about my hormone panel, because working in a hormone clinic for years, I would have never, ever, ever before now thought that just controlling my sugar could help balance out all the rest of my hormones. Crazy stuff. Now, for men, this isn't just about women. I have stories of men who had low testosterone, who had erectile dysfunction, who did the same system that I'm doing. They go back to their doctor, the doctor that wanted to give them exogenous testosterone or testosterone therapy, bioidentical, however you want to call it. And the guys were like smart and said, no, wait, let me try this and let me see what happens. And then they go back 3 months later and their testosterone levels are normalizing. And guess what? So here's the other thing. If you're in the military, if you have certain jobs, if you're an athlete, none of this is getting those hormones that you can't take, that are going to pop you on a drug test, that are going to get you in trouble. This is food that allows your body to do that job. So if you're in any of those situations, military, some security job, athlete, whatever, this is not causing any of those spikes on a blood work test that's going to pop you for any of that. This is actually listed with the Cologne list, the Safe Sport list. It will not pop a WADA test because it's food. It's food. So that's amazing. And it doesn't interfere with medications, but it's getting you healthy. And while we're talking about that yerba mate, this can increase your performance during strength training and exercise by 10 to 13%. Now, I don't know if any of you guys are on here before, because I haven't talked about it for a while. I was a world champion powerlifting athlete in my 50s. I had to stop because my bones were deteriorating. Was it the powerlifting? No, it was the insulin resistance. I have 2 hip replacements and a knee replacement. I did those championships on the hip replacements. My knee got replaced when I quit. I had to quit because I was just in such bad shape. I couldn't lift anymore. So I won 4 world championships, insulin resistant the whole time. But I look at my numbers for my lifts and I think, if I could have added 10 to 13% to those numbers and those lifts, what would that have looked like? I already won, but it would have been more exciting to have, I think I deadlifted like 475. Well, that translates to about 47 more pounds. That would have put me over a 500-pound deadlift. I squatted over 400 pounds. That would have put me at about 440 on my squat. I benched 275. That would have got me over that 300-pound bench that I was so desperately seeking. That kind of increase, because your bones are stronger, your muscles are stronger, your ligaments are producing more normally, and your energy levels are much better because you're able to utilize the energy, which converts into muscle usage. That's huge for athletes. If you know an athlete, let them know, because this can actually work. So you guys, I think everybody, looking at the fact that 93% of us are sick, I think everybody could use this system. The 90-day, why not give yourself 90 days to see what can happen for you? All right, that's enough. I just get excited because I know how much it's changed my life, and I'm on the phone every day with people who are just in tears because their life has changed, and they were unsuspecting that doing 2 real food products would make so much change in their life. So let's take a look at everything up above. I promised you guys, I keep saying I'm going to get off, and then I think about things I want to talk about. I promised you guys some information. Let's talk about, how do you know if it's you? Does anybody want me to give you the ways that you can tell if it's you? Put a 2 in the comments if you want me to tell you how to use your current blood work, how to use symptoms to tell if insulin resistance is affecting you. Just give me a, if you hear that, or I'll talk about something else. It doesn't matter. I want to give you guys the information you need. Anybody needs to hear how you can tell it's you, just give me a 2, and then, or tell me what you do want me to address, and I will address that. Okay, so 2. Kelly, thank you. So all right, let's talk about your blood work first. If you guys, most people should have had an annual lab test done. So you should have some labs that you can go back and look at, okay? What you want to get to on those labs. So, and if you don't have them, you can go get them, but without having to do anything that is different than what you have now. Let's talk about how you can tell. Find your labs. I'm going to give you a calculation. Get a pen and paper out, and I will do this video today. I promise you. I've said it before, but I will do this video and put it in today. Good morning, Jenny. So go to your labs, find your lipid panel or the fat panel on your labs. When you do a complete metabolic panel, when you do your annual labs, that's always in there. You want to find where it says triglycerides, and you write that number down. Then you want to find, and I'm not going to say LDL, we're going to look at your HDL, your high density lipoproteins. You want to write that number down. Triglyceride number. The weight loss result lasts as long as you're controlling your insulin resistance. We'll talk about that in a second. Triglycerides and HDL. Now what you're going to do is, yay, Jenny. So Jenny's been on the system. How long have you been on the system, Jenny? And what were your triglycerides before? A 107 on your triglycerides is freaking amazing. They want to see it under 150. So like her triglyceride numbers, and she's been on the system for a while now, 107 is, I have goosebumps, Jenny. You just gave me goosebumps. It's amazing to have that level of triglycerides. So triglyceride number divided by your HDL. So 165, she's taken almost 60 points off of her triglyceride levels by doing the same system that I'm doing. It actually does change your life, you guys. The medications, the statins, and all these other things that they're giving you does not give you this kind of result. So I'll answer that question, Dollar Bill, in 2 seconds. Let me finish this calculation. So triglycerides divided by HDL, that's going to give you a number. And write this down too. If your number is 1.5 or lower, you're not likely to have an insulin resistance problem. This calculation is also going to tell you your risk for heart disease. 1.5 or under, you're probably in a good range. 1.5 to 3, you're developing insulin resistance or already having your heart at risk. Start addressing it. 3 or higher, honey, take care of your problem because you have a problem. Okay. Triglycerides divided by HDL, 1.5 or lower, you're probably okay. 1.5 to 3, start addressing it. 3, you better get it addressed. Not sure why. Allergies, that's what it is. Just dawned on me. Okay, so Dollar Bill. I will be doing the protocol the rest of my life because what you may have missed is our food has been jacked with. It's been modified, it's been manufactured, it's not giving us what we need, and that's why we end up here. What this does is put back what's been stripped out so our bodies can more naturally deal with what they're doing. I tell my kids all the time, if I ever lose mental ability, they better still make sure I'm getting this. And I joke, and I don't want this to sound wrong, but I tell them, you will, you will be prying this out of my cold dead hands. I've gone to the doctor. I had to have my gallbladder removed about 9 months after I started the system, 6 months after I started the system. But you know what I did on my way to the hospital? I was septic. I was in pain. I was delirious. I drove myself to the hospital. Don't recommend it, guys, but I'm kind of a nut. So one thing I did was, the one thing I packed besides my car keys and my ID was I put this in my purse because I knew I was going to end up in the hospital and I didn't know for how long. When I ended up in surgery, I came out and they told me I could eat. I told them to give me my purse, and I insisted on having this before I ate. You know how strict they are in the hospital. And they were kind of like, what is that? And I said, go look it up. It's in the prescriber's digital reference. It's in the prescriber's digital reference. They can look it up. It has science. It has backing. Yes, it's not a medication. It's real food. Some of the only real foods in that reference. You can't buy, beg, or steal your way in there. They looked it up. They said, okay, go ahead and have it. I had this in the hospital. Now, that's another reason. Why do I do this instead of just like, and I do healthy fibers, you guys. We had asparagus and whatnot for dinner last night. I do all of that. I have spinach in the fridge. I have avocado in the fridge. I have tomatoes. I have whatever. But I do that. But I just make sure that this is always with me. So no matter what situation I'm in, I have the fibers to control my health. So that's that. Now that's where it was at. Will I do it for life? Yes, because I never want to go back to where I was, and understanding now how imperfect our food is and understanding the need for it, I will always do it. And I also want to challenge you this. Our bodies are living, growing organisms. About every 9 weeks, every cell in our body has turned over. So if our cells are continually turning over, if we're continually needing energy, and we're continually needing health, and we're continually eating because we have that continuous need for energy and health, would you ever just eat meals for about 3 months and then stop? Or are you going to understand that you need to eat daily? You need to brush your teeth daily. You need to shower, at least a couple of times a week, or things are going to start to go wrong. That's what you need to shift with them. This is just part of my day. It's $5 a day, which is less than I used to spend preparing breakfast anyway. So I'm saving money, building health. That's the long, short answer to that. Jenny has lost 31 pounds in 3 months. And okay, so let me get this straight, because my mind is calculating 31 pounds in months, which also means that those levels that were 165 and are now 107, that happened in 3 months. 3 months. Huge change in her triglycerides. Okay, so I gave you guys number one way, right? Triglycerides divided by HDL, that's going to give you your risk of insulin resistance. Now, a couple of other really big things that you can tell if you're insulin resistant or not. I'm jacking with things over here. There we are. So you guys, I want you to see this. What am I taking? It's a real food system patty. It's in my I put the link in here. I'll put it in again. Go to this link. You'll find it. It's $5 a day. It's real food. It doesn't interact with medications. So there's that. Now, with this, I want to show you. So this is my fingers are hitting the wrong buttons. There we go. Let's get my life under control, man. Okay, so these are some things that you can tell if you're insulin resistant. Number one, hypertension. You guys, if you're dealing with a blood pressure that's 130 over 80 or higher, 95% of hypertension comes from insulin resistance. Get your insulin resistance under control. Hypertension, understand, in the absence of some genetic or familial thing, it's hypertension, okay? The other one, which should be on this list but is not, the other big one, okay, after those labs, is bulging belly. If you have that belly that's bulging, whether you're fat or thin, that's insulin resistance. Take care of it. Yes, you'll see it in alcoholics because guess what? Alcoholics are highly insulin resistant. There's a lot of sugar in that alcohol. There's the triglycerides, HDL. Okay, but these are some other physical symptoms. You don't have to pay for a test to start understanding that this is you. And understand that if it's a dietary disorder, you need to address your diet in order to take care of it. So some crazy things are skin tags, those little mushroom-like projections on skin. That's insulin resistance. Yep, that's insulin resistance. Patty, did you used to think that, oh, because this was me, I started getting skin tags and I'm like, oh, okay, it makes sense. I'm a grandma, that's just what happens in our body now. I'm going to have skin tags. It's ugly, it's nasty, and it's embarrassing, but I'm a grandma, so just deal with it. My mom had them, my grandma had them. It's just what happens. No, it's not. I'm 60 years old and have not one skin tag on my body. Not one. I got my insulin resistance under control. Okay. So, and then acanthosis nigricans, those dark skin patches on your elbows, your knees, under your arms, where your bra rubs, maybe where your shoe rubs around your ankle, on the back of your neck, all of that, that's hyperpigmentation caused by insulin resistance. And that can go away too. So my elbow used to have that dark skin patch on it. It circled my elbow. It came about this far down. This was really and scaly, and it would catch on my clothes and on fabric seats and all of that, and it was frustrating and it was embarrassing, and I was scrubbing, right? Like I had a gal yesterday tell me her auntie brought her lemon juice and was like scrubbing her elbows with lemon juice and like just trying to think that she was going to do so much good, and it didn't help because it's internal. It's caused by insulin resistance. It's not caused because you're not clean enough or you're defunct. It's caused because the food that's been given to you is causing you to be sick. So skin tags and those dark skin patches, that's your early warning sign. Early warning sign. Houston, we have a problem. Let's address it. Okay. So yeah, Jenny, until you are educated, it does happen from skin rubbing, but it has to have too many keratinocytes with the skin tags or the acanthosis nigricans, which is excess melanin, in areas that if you get the insulin under control, it gets better. And I'll address those in just a second because there's a couple of you guys who have addressed that. The other two big things are PCOS and erectile dysfunction. If you're suffering from those, if you've ever been told those, it's a metabolic infertility issue. Metabolic infertility second, metabolism first, fertility second, metabolism first, fertility second. Address your metabolism, your fertility, your reproductive health will get better. You got to address the insulin resistance to get that better. Okay, so Patty, that's a great one. I want to talk about autoimmune also. Okay, in a very broad scale. If you want me guys to explain it more deeply, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to have to go get the real science stuff and do the video for you because I don't warehouse all that in my head. I understand the concept. So, PCOS, erectile dysfunction, your insulin jacks with your hormone levels. Again, my hormones are freaking fantastic at 60 years old. And all I did was address my insulin resistance. Okay, so those are some ways you can tell, but there's a couple of other things, okay, so that are not so obvious. If you're retaining water, if you're having neuropathy or edema, that's a sign of insulin resistance. If you're constantly hungry, especially after you eat, that's a sign of insulin resistance. Does anybody get those crashes after you eat where like you get, I always used to say it feels like somebody poured cold water over me. I would get chills or like almost like goosebumps, and I was tired and I was fatigued, and I was asking everybody, my children who were very well educated, my doctors, I was asking everybody, why do I feel so tired after I eat? Why do I get these goosebumps and just get so cold after I eat? Does anybody have that happen to them? Put a 1 in if anybody else has experienced that. Because that's actually a sign of insulin resistance. So Mandy, what's happening, you guys, is this thing called reactive hypoglycemia. Can I take a second and explain that? We'll talk about chronic fatigue and all of that in a minute. You usually get hot. That one I'm going to have to look up. I'm going to be honest. So the cold and the fatigue, you get hot. Let me find the real answer for that, and I'll do a video about it, Alicia. I'm just writing down your name so I can maybe tag you in it if I remember. Okay, so I'll get you a real answer for that. Now, with the why you get cold part, let's deal with that because I do know that one. What happens is when you spike your blood sugar levels up, unless I've got a visual for that. Okay, so this is what's happening to you with the hypoglycemia and the getting cold. And I'm thinking this is similar for why you're getting hot after you eat. But you're spiking your glucose levels, right? So your glucose goes up without any problem because all the food that we're eating is converting into sugar in your system. You have this glucose spike, then you have an insulin spike because the insulin has to go up high enough to take care of that glucose. So the insulin is delivering that glucose into the system, whether it's into the cell, take it, or into your fat cells. But it really gets rid of that glucose that you just inundated your system with. So insulin is doing its job, and it delivers that energy out because you've trained it. I got to get back up there, and I got to be ready because they're going to eat some more, and I got to do this job all over again. So let me hurry up, pedal to the metal. I got to get this sugar out of their system. Now your glucose level drops, and you have reactive hypo or low glycemia. You're cold, you're fatigued, you have some brain fog, you may feel dizzy, you just want to curl up on the couch and get under a blanket, right? And then a while later, you'll start to feel better. Reactive hypoglycemia because insulin is overreactive in your body, too much insulin. When that's happening, it's actually blocking your fat burning, blocking your fat breakdown, and stimulating fat storage because it's storing that fat so it can come because you're going to eat again. That's what's happening to you. Get that under control, and your body will start to feel better. Okay? So I'm really curious because I think I know, but I don't want to say what I don't know for sure. So we'll do the video on the why you get hot after you eat. So there's that. Those are all ways, fatigue, migraine headaches, all of that going on as well. The fatigue can be from the reactive hypoglycemia as well. The fatigue can be from the fact that your body is not getting energy to the cells because you're insulin resistant. So remember, those cells are like, insulin, I don't want to hear from you anymore, and they lock their doors. Now, insulin can't open that door and get the energy in. So even though you're eating, your body's not getting energy to the cells. So let's talk about hunger and fatigue. When you're feeling fatigue, you need energy. When you're feeling hunger, your body's cueing you for energy. Yeah, Alicia, that hypoglycemia will normalize out. Okay, and I'll talk about that too. You guys, I get so excited. I love to talk about this stuff. So yeah, get your insulin under control. That hypoglycemia will start to get better as well. You guys, it will start to happen. If you're hypoglycemic, understand this. Dr. Bickman, this is not me, this is Dr. Bickman saying, your blood sugar levels can go down to about 60 and you're still safe as long as you're not feeling that like, oh, I'm going to pass out, I'm dizzy, whatever. You can feel cold and you're still safe. You can feel all that. But the minute you start feeling like your brain, your body is ready to pass out, you've got to get some slower type of energy into your system so that your body doesn't do that. Right. So sanguine RN. Okay. I know that the hot is related to insulin resistance, but I'm not sure as to the mechanism. That's why I don't want to talk about it, because I don't want to pass on misinformation. I do know that getting hot after you eat is linked to insulin resistance, but I want to get a real answer. So there's that. Food intolerance and allergies. You guys, let me finish up about the brain. Understand that your brain and your liver, two big things that are controlling our health, our brain and our liver. If the rest of your body is insulin resistant, so is your brain, so is your liver. Okay. If you're starting to see your liver enzymes getting out of control on that blood work in conjunction with all of this other stuff, You're insulin resistant, take care of it. The liver panel will normalize. I was starting to show signs of liver damage. Didn't even know. My doctor didn't even address it. I'm the one who caught it on my lab panels. Called her up and said, Doc, my liver's at risk. Why aren't we talking about this? She's like, I'm more concerned about the diabetes and the heart problem. I knew that was there, but we have to deal with one thing at a time. Your liver can start to function normally when you get that insulin resistance under control. Okay, so understand that. Now, we were talking about allergies. I'm going to talk about autoimmune too. I promise you, Patty. So allergies. I don't have the mechanism why other than inflammation and sensitivity. I will also look that up. But what I can tell you is I still have some allergies, but I had a ton of food allergies that would cause me to choke every time I ate. Now, in 2 years, I had my first kind of what I call choke incident where there's too many eosinophils in my throat the other night. Stress is a factor. I'm moving. I got a ton of stuff going on. I'm in a new place. I'm being inundated by new allergens that I'm not used to, environmental allergens, tree pollens, and that can cause that eosinophilic esophagus, which is an allergic reaction. Other than that, in 2.5 years, I have not had that condition where the eosinophils are so built up in my system. Allergies, eosinophils, allergies. That has been well controlled for me. My food intolerances like gluten intolerance and milk intolerance and a number of other things have gotten much better. I was intolerant to things like navy beans and tomatoes and cantaloupe and walnuts, and the list was crazy. Okay. But those have all gotten better because I addressed my insulin. When inflammation and all these triggers in your gut start to settle down, you start to feel better. And I would be willing to bet that that could happen for you too. I've heard from a number of people where their allergic reactions have gotten much better. I used to take Benadryl like candy to try and just walk through the world, and I don't have to do that anymore. So allergies got better when I addressed my insulin resistance. Now, back to autoimmune disease. Patty, sorry that you had to wait so long. So autoimmune disease, I listened to a doctor the other day, and he said this. He believes that all autoimmune disease starts in the gut. Inflammation in the gut is where all autoimmune disease starts from. Okay, so let's deal with the resistance. Let's take a step back and kind of lead back into that and understand like my train of thinking. I had Hashimoto's, which was autoimmune, right? My thyroid was attacking itself. So that it was happening because my gut was imbalanced. When we talk about the gut, let's primarily talk about like through the stomach through the butt. So that all gets inflamed. Now, in the colon, 70% of your immune cells are held in there. There's a whole lot that your colon does for you. And it's also the largest, like longest internal organ you have. It gives cues out to almost every organ in your body. So when that gut is imbalanced, negative microbiome, inflammation, it can have being trapped in there cause like symptoms of decay and whatnot going on in there. That leaches out into your other systems and can cause autoimmune, according to this doctor I was listening to. So people are taking probiotics and doing all this for their gut health, but they're not addressing their sugar levels. So if you're not addressing your sugar levels, you're just piling probiotics in on top of a problem that you're not really addressing. Fiber, by the way, has prebiotics in it, meaning they're feeding your probiotics. Am I saying never take a probiotic? No, I'm not. But I'm saying give your gut what it needs to be able to build that health, so that inflammation, that decay, that slowdown can all calm down. Okay, that, in my opinion, helps with autoimmune. That's why I feel like my thyroid now, for the first time in, like, I'm 60 and I started having thyroid problems in my 20s, 40 years of thyroid problems, and my thyroid is now normalized. So prebiotics are actually what this is. So fiber is prebiotics. That's part of why the system is. So what's happening with this, Patty, is there's prebiotics in here. There's enzymes in here. There's fiber in here. Fiber is the prebiotics. Fiber is what's feeding your gut microbiome to be healthier. Part of what Dr. Bickman and I talked about with this is has to do with the prebiotics and some actions in your that I can't just spout off on top of my head. It has to do with small chain triglycerides, short chain triglycerides, but prebiotics are helping heal the gut. Yes, yes, prebiotics will help heal the gut. This helped heal my gut. You guys, I had IBS. So it was, I'm going to get a little personal because I know this affects more people than just me. So my sharing my stories is more about you guys than me, and it gets a little dicey. Okay, so I had such bad um, IBS that I couldn't go shopping after I ate. I had to be home near my restroom because I knew there was going to be a problem. I remember times when I would go shopping and I'm at the back of the store and I feel like, oh, I have that urge. I need to go. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to grab this one more thing. And oop, that one more thing, that 30 seconds was too long. And now I'm abandoning cart and running home to change my clothes. That was my life. I don't have that issue anymore. That's not a problem. I have normal bowel movements. You guys, it's a crazy thing, but every morning I wake up and it's normal. I'm just like, oh my God, 50 years of struggling and that's normalizing. And this is why. Okay, so this is slowing down the sugar delivery in the system, slowing down the negative gut microbiome in the system, but it's also giving the good microbiome these prebiotics to build those probiotics from and healing my gut. So along with that, this is my attribution to that. When we understand that 70% of our immune cells are held in our gut, it's really impactful because if 70% are held there, they're not produced there, they're held there. If our is in a negative state and it's inflamed and it's having problems, it's impacting those immune cells. Your immune cells are now inflamed and not working properly either. So you get more colds, you get more flus, you just get sick more often, and it has to do with your gut. Thank you. Thank you. So I cannot say your name. Sangland RN. She says, I agree, can relate 100%, providing excellent and accurate information. You guys, I'm here because I lived it. I'm not here because, oh, I just want to pop out some information. I lived this life and I got better and I got really excited and thought about all the people in my life and all the people in the world that could start to feel better without relying on medications that are damaging them and actually just have life back. Just have a real life back. So getting microbiome under control is key, and system does help with that. Also, let me type in. I'm going to have to hop off. So my internet, only the internet where I'm at, this is part of the reason I'm moving. The internet net here is so weird. About this time of me being live, it starts to cut out on some of the other platforms. Now, Doc put you on metformin. Metformin out of all the medications is the one that most doctors will agree does better. I was on metformin. I didn't like the way it felt in my body. I didn't like what it did to my body. I stopped it right away. Like, oh, if this is how my body feels, I don't want it in there. And then this is what I did instead of metformin. And this got me further than metformin did, quicker, because it was addressing the root cause. Okay. By the way, this acts like a GLP-1. So you think about like all the really popular things out there, and this is from Dr. Huberman. I promise I'll get that video up today. But Dr. Huberman talks about yerba mate acting like a GLP-1 in your system, only it's natural. It's not giving you all the other side effects of gallbladder problems, of kidney problems, of all of that. It's a natural acting GLP-1, the yerba mate plant. And this is a very highly concentrated and purified form of that yerba mate. So you're getting a benefit that's closer to what you might see with those medications because it's of the concentration and purity without all the pesticides, toxins, and PAHs that other yerba mate contains. Okay, so Patty, use this link, that top button in there is where you're going to find it. You guys, if you want to use the system, go to my link. Here's my promise to you, though, before I hop off because the internet's getting sketchy. My promise to you is that you will get a text from me. You will get a video from me how to use this. You'll get some follow-up texts. You're going to get a series of emails, and then you're going to have my phone number. Please communicate with me because I'm not just here to talk to all these people. Those of you who choose to make an investment in your health and are really like I was and want to get your help, I'm going to be there for you. Okay, so understand that. I'm not just like, buy this, see you later. I'm there for you and I will help you through the whole thing, whatever you need. If it's I'm not seeing this result or I don't understand that, we're going to get on the phone and we're going to address it. Okay, so please use my link. Please start, but do it for 90 days, 3 months, because you have a guarantee that you're going to get that money back. But give your body the time to heal. You can actually get there. Everybody who gave it the 90 days has told me that they've gotten great results from it. So please give it the 90 days and let's talk and let's work through this for you guys. But things are starting to get haywire over here. So I'm going to log off. I will be back tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. We'll talk some more about gastrointestinal issues. We'll talk some more about whatever it is you guys need to understand. I'm going to work on that action of why you get hot. I have a couple of notes over here. And and I'm going to get those videos done. The Dr. Huberman one has got to go up today. I want you guys to understand how amazing this tea is and why you need it in your life because it's a game changer. Okay? We'll see you guys all tomorrow. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for giving me your time. Thank you for investing in yourself to understand all this better. Mandy, you are so very, very welcome. And I just feel blessed that you guys take the time to spend with me. All right? Thanks, you guys. Thank you, Sanglend RN. I don't know how to say that right. Dr. Quest, I'm logging off. We'll see you guys tomorrow at about 8 a.m. Okay? Have a great day, everybody.